I got to get this off my chest. I know you said that we got some Ohio State fans in the chat, and I have to get this off my chest. Will Howard, I apologize. I took a pretty deep dive on you this morning. I said that when the lights are the brightest, you don't show up. I said that you don't make good decisions. I talked about your arm talent. I talked about this, that, and the third. I even said it don't matter how good your receivers are. It don't matter how good Jeremiah Smith is if they don't have a quarterback to get them the ball. Well, tonight, in the biggest game that Will Howard has ever played in, I don't care about the Michigan game. This was the biggest game that he has played in, and he balled. He played phenomenal football from the first snap to the last. I know he had a turnover. I'll excuse that. Obviously, they won. He had a phenomenal performance. Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. I'll excuse that. Like, that wasn't nothing to me. But Will Howard, he played lights out. I mean, the deep balls, the picking the defense apart. Like, there was one time where I saw him just let the defense completely unfold, and he hit a guy on a corner route that was sitting in between the corner and the underneath linebacker. And then I saw him look at the Ohio State sideline and just smile. And it was just like, yep. I'm that guy. I've got it. Like, I don't know if it was like a eureka moment for him where he just finally figured it out. But man, the lights couldn't have been any brighter. The stage couldn't have been set any higher in this moment. It will get bigger, so we will see again. But with the opportunity that he had tonight, he absolutely showed up, showed out. He shut all the critics up, especially me. I've been one of the biggest Ohio State critics all year. Hands down, Will Howard, y'all, Ohio State, y'all played y'all's tails off tonight. Got to say it.
I mean, not just Will Howard played probably the best game of his Ohio State career. Yeah. He finishes 24 for 29, 311 yards, 2 touchdowns, the 1 interception in the end zone that gets tipped on a play that was probably pass interference that was not called. The other Tennessee guy makes a great play to make the interception. Mm-hmm. If that doesn't happen, if that goes up 28, that was when the game was 21-0. If they make it 28-0 there in the first half, that game's probably over at that point. That kept Tennessee in the game. They get it back to 21-10 at halftime before Ohio State runs away in the second half. But not just Will Howard, Chip Kelly. Mm-hmm. We got to give Chip Kelly his flowers after shot. But he rightfully took a lot of crap for that game plan against Michigan, in which all of us said, hey, you have Jeremiah Smith on your team. You have Emeka Egbuka on your team. Maybe you should throw the ball downfield to those guys. Well, you know what Ohio State did in that first drive? I think 4 passes, 1 run, throwing deep balls to those guys, touchdown Ohio State, and we're off and running. That is the Ohio State game plan that we need to see. That's the Ohio State game plan I talked about coming into this game, which was throwing to set up the run. Because Tennessee's got a really good defensive line, but they're prone to giving up big passing plays. And what did they do? They threw it up to those guys who are going to be playing in the NFL pretty soon, and they got it done. Chip Kelly had an excellent game plan. This is the Ohio State team that was my preseason number 1. This is the Ohio State team a lot of us thought could win the national championship. And coming out of this game, they're going to be picked by a lot of people to win the national championship, even with Oregon next on the schedule. It was nice to see it all come together because there's so much talent on that team. All the pressure that Ryan Day was under. I don't know if Ryan Day really could keep his job if they lost that game. I know Ross Polk is saying he's their coach. But this was so cathartic for Ohio State to not just get a win after Michigan, but to win in convincing fashion, to win throwing the ball the way everybody wanted you to play against Michigan, and to win against a Southern team, an SEC team coming up to Ohio Stadium, which never happens. So we'll get into the weather and the blowouts and stuff like that. But unbelievable performance by Ohio State. Is this a team, Damien, when you come out of this game, do you think, do you think that team can win the national championship?
Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. Out of all the performances that I've seen all season long, like scrap just the playoffs in these first couple games, out of all the performances I've watched all season long, all the games that I've scouted and watched these teams play and evaluated, that was the performance that I looked at and saw a team and said, that right there is a national championship team. If they play that way against Oregon, they beat Oregon. I would pick that Ohio State team against any other team in the country right now because offensively, when you've got Will Howard playing the way that he played tonight, then you let Emeka Egbuka just run and Jeremiah Smith just run down the field and just go get the ball, which is what they do best. And then let's talk about the run game. Travion Henderson was phenomenal tonight, not just in the run game, in the pass game too. Kirk Herbstreit said it exactly what I was thinking. Every time 32 touched the ball tonight, I held my breath a little bit because I almost thought He can take it the distance on any given play. Then you look at this defense led by Jack.
Wait, here's what Henderson did. Here's 10 catches, 10 rushes, 80 yards, 8 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns, 4 catches, 54 yards, average 13.5 yards per catch. That guy was everywhere.
That's a day that makes NFL GMs and NFL head coaches go, I want some of that. I want that guy because he is a 3-down guy. We use him in the run game. We use him in the pass game. We use him in the screen game. We don't have to take this guy off the field. That's a guy that they want to pay at the next level because he can do a lot of things. But again, going back to this Ohio State defense, like I said, led by Jack Sawyer. I mean, he looked like he was playing against 5-year-olds tonight. Like, he was unblockable. Cody Simon, he's been phenomenal all year. Igbinosun, Caleb Downs, the secondary. I mean, they eliminate almost every team's passing game except Oregon that we've seen this year. I mean, when you put it all together, all phases, the way they played tonight, you can't tell me that Oregon has played a better game where they look better offensively and defensively, special teams. You can't tell me Texas has looked better offensively and defensively in the same game. You can't tell me that about any of these other teams. So I will say it again, and that's a big if, because I'm giving Ohio State credit right now, but there's been a lot of times when we've been taking credit away. If they play this way, they would be my national championship favorites against any team that they could face off against.
And it's a fair thing to ask, is that fair to Oregon? We'll get to that in a minute. But the Ohio State defense, yeah.
Now, I wanted to ask you a question because you've been covering the sport a lot longer than I have. Have you ever seen a wide receiver that looked as NFL ready as a freshman, as a true freshman, as Jeremiah Smith? Like, that dude, I remember, and obviously we saw how great all of his plays were, but I remember just looking at him in his stance one time, and I was like, oh my God, look at this dude. Like literally just look at him. Like, you don't even have to see him take a step. Just look at him. Like, he's 225 pounds. He's 6'1", 6'2". I mean, he's fast. He's strong. He attacks the football. He plays with suave, like almost, I remember at the beginning of the season when he had that OPI against Oregon that ultimately kind of cost him the game. Yeah. There were some other plays that cost him the game, but that was a crucial point. And I remember talking about that play and talking about, he's just a young guy, and that was a young guy mistake. But I've seen tremendous improvement from a generational talent. Like, it's like he's learning the ins and the outs. He's learning the nuances. He knows how to throttle versus zone. Obviously, he knows how to get open versus man. He knows how to work the coverage patterns. When he knows teams are either going to play tight man coverage and try to eliminate him from the game, or they're going to double cover him. He always knows how to get open. You rarely see him drop the ball. He's strong when he gets the ball in his hands. You can't really bring him down. He stiff arms guys, like, and runs through them like a running back. I mean, I'm sorry I took up all your time on my question, but have you ever seen a guy that's this NFL ready as a true freshman?
I mean, as a true freshman, I don't remember exactly how Julio Jones was as a freshman, but that's the guy he reminds me of. I mean, in the comments, XA43 said the same thing. He's a Julio Jones level prospect. I feel like our Dane Brugler, NFL draft expert, guy who always knows what every pick's going to be, tweeted during the game that if Jeremiah Smith was eligible, he would be competing with Travis Hunter to be the number 1 non-quarterback picked in this draft. He's a freshman. He's 18. He has to play 2 more years of college football. Those poor Big Ten defensive backs are going to have to deal with this guy for another 2 years. The dude's going to be an all-pro receiver by the time he's out of Ohio State. Just unbelievable. I read during the game, I saw a really good story from On3 from back in like January or something. Talked about how much Smith improved and grew in his senior year when he was already a top-level prospect. He added weight. He got taller. He was on the track team and sprinting really, really well. And when he was at camps, he was at the front of the line every time. He was going 100% every single rep. Everything you read about this guy is everything you would want in a wide receiver. Our Bruce Feldman wrote a really good story about his work ethic earlier this fall. Go back and read that, people, if you haven't. So it's completely unfair. And with Will Howard going away, is Julian saying your next quarterback, or you're going to try somebody else? Anybody's going to want to come play with Jeremiah Smith the next 2 years.